Welcome to another exciting episode of Leading Our Adventures, your Venturing BSA podcast. Welcome and thank you for joining. I'm your host, Hannah Todd, and I currently serve as the Vice President of Program for the National Venturing Officers Association. We have a special guest who plays a critical role in shaping the future leaders of our venturing program. We are diving deep into the world of venturing and the Venturing Officers Association as we sit down with Douglas, a dedicated Venturing Officer Association advisor for his council. Before we jump into the heart of today's discussion, let us take a moment to explore the unique adventurous realm of VOA, which stands for Venturing Officers Association. These are present at the national, territory, and council level and are made up of youth. They kind of steer the ship, guiding their crews on a journey through the venturing program. A council venturing officers association is essential and is an essential component of the venturing program, providing a platform for youth leadership, collaboration, and service within the council. Our guest serves as the Venturing VOA advisor and bring a wealth of experience, passion, and dedication to the role, helping shape the experience of countless venturers throughout his career. So, go grab your compass, lace up your hiking boots, and join us as we voyage into the heart of venturing. Whether you're a seasoned scouter or someone curious about venturing, this episode is sure to inspire and inform you. Well, without further ado, welcome Douglas Taylor. Thank you for coming. How are you today?
Thanks, Hannah. Hello, everyone. My name is Douglas Taylor. I am the Council Venturing Advisor and Chairman of the Mecklenburg County Council Venturing Officers Association in Charlotte, North Carolina.
I'm glad that you could come with us today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got involved in scouting and became a venturing VOA advisor?
Yeah, of course. It's kind of a long story. It starts at Cub Scouts, ends up in Boy Scouts, and then at the age of 14, I actually joined the venturing program way back in 2014. And since then, I was a youth in the program, sat in very similar spots that you sit in today, and just have always kind of continued that journey and passion for the venturing program as an adult. When I turned 21, I immediately stepped into an associate advisor role on an area level, which is now somewhat similar to the territory. And there I just continued to help and grow the venturing program. And during the pandemic, my council had a huge drastic drop in adults helping out on the council level. And my council program director came to me and said, "Hey, you've been involved in this program for a long period of time now. Would you be interested in helping out?" And I said, "Yeah, of course. I'll give it my best shot and we'll see how it goes." And that's kind of how I got to where I am today.
I mean, you love being voluntold every once in a while.
Exactly.
It never ceases to amaze me when you're like, "Oh yeah, this person knows your past. You could slot in this scenario." Can you explain your role as a venturing VOA advisor, like what you do for our listeners who might not be familiar, what your position does?
Absolutely. So a council VOA advisor is there to help the youth on the Venturing Officers Association. So in my council, I work with my council president to put on the venturing program on a council level. I also work with 3 or 4 other adults who work with vice presidents to guide them in, making excellent program for those ventures in our council. So, in all actuality, I'm more like a guide, a cheerleader, a helper, and an enabler, because that's really what I'm doing. But the title is just, to assist the president. They are my boss, and I'm there to help.
There you go. A job description, just one word, expanded is what we got there. What makes venturing unique when you compare it to the other scouting programs? And what role does the Venturing Officers Association, specifically in your council, play in supporting that particular program?
Of course. That's actually a really good question. Venturing is unique specifically to me because venturing is youth driven and it's all about making the youth vision happen. If the youth want to do something, it's my job to make sure that that happens. If the youth wants to do something that seems out there, meaning it's outside the Guide to Safe Scouting or National Camp School standards, I step in the brainstorming part and give them something very similar and say, hey, you can't do this, but have you thought about doing this as an alternative? And tell them the reason why and just be there and be honest and transparent and help them along the way. That kind of is where guiding them and enabling them really helps out. The VOA, like I mentioned, is there to support the crews and the council, and so we do that by hosting programs throughout the year, hosting meetings for people to attend, and that's really the VOA's job.
Ooh, that's really cool. A very cool answer there. Could you elaborate even more and tell our listeners more, like key responsibilities, maybe the behind the scenes stuff that we don't see or youth don't see that you might have not known about when you were a council president or you were fill-in youth position that Douglas held here? And how do you use that experience to support the youth in our program?
Yeah, of course. So I'll kind of refer to the VOA admin guide. Um, the National VOA admin guide says that the uh, advisor's responsibility is to provide advice and support for the officers who lead the VOA and to appoint associate advisors and activity advisors. So that's kind of really broad, and it really kind of depends on what your council venturing program looks like. In my council, we host a range of events. We host 2 annual events a year. We host like 4 meetings a year and then 4 fun events a year. So I really try and build a team of adults to help support the youth, you know, make sure those events happen, make sure if they want to add any additional events, make sure that happens. So something that I really wasn't expecting is just the amount of level of actually having to guide the youth through the BSA standards and the Guide to Safe Scouting. We have lots of great ideas, and there's a lot of exciting things that we can do in these programs. It just takes knowing what you can do and really taking the time to go through the Guide to Safe Scouting and see what you can and can't do, and really focusing in on, areas that your crews are doing and making sure that they're within those standards, you can continue to push that program forward. And that's something that I really didn't expect. Of course, there's the standard things like budgeting that really isn't fun, and making sure that the camping events are on the council calendar. But definitely, the safety is a big point of something that I had to learn.
I see. Safety is very important, and sometimes youth get really excited with what we're going to do, and then we forget about safety. So I appreciate you. What are some challenges that you've faced in your role? Maybe how did you overcome them? Like, walk us through what was going through your head. And I wonder on the flip side, what are the most like rewarding aspects of being a venturing VOA advisor?
That's actually like a really good question. I have never really thought about challenges, but I would say like the biggest challenge that I've had coming from a youth in the venturing program to being an advisor is finding that limit of, okay, when do I step in and, save this event or save this experience or, point out that this isn't going to work? And when is it safe to fail? And that's something that I have a lot of trouble with because having been in the program, I know how to easily circumvent those issues, but I also need to make sure that I'm giving those experiences to the youth because it's ultimately what makes you better leaders and what makes you guys want to come back and be an advisor in the program. As for like the most rewarding thing that I've seen is definitely seeing what the youth, like the VOA presidents, kind of do past their terms, like seeing them continue their scouting journey past the Council VOA to become a better national venturing officer than I myself was. Or recently, I wrote my first college letter of recommendation for one of my past VOA presidents, which is honestly something that I thought I would never do. But I'm really hoping that she gets into the school that she wants to go to, and I'm rooting for her, even though it's my school's rival. But hopefully that happens.
Awesome. That's cool. That's really cool. A really cool experience to hear about. And I guess I get chills to think about how much you're able to support your youth, support me, support people in your other people in your council. How do you encourage and empower venturers to take an active role in the Venturing Officers Association? And how does their involvement benefit the overall venturing program in your council?
So, my best piece of advice for youth in the venturing program in any capacity is to get involved and give ideas. I personally can only have so many ideas, and to be honest, they're kind of outdated now. My council president this year that I'm working with is stock full of ideas, and she's done an amazing job of getting more and more and telling me when I need to calm down and let the youth give ideas that they have some great ones coming down the pipeline, which is really awesome. If your council has a VOA, don't be afraid to go to a meeting and give ideas. If there's something that you want to see, go talk to them. Say, hey, I think we could do this. I'd be interested in heading it up and getting involved that way. If your council doesn't have a VOA, but has one or two or three crews, that's a great time to start a VOA. A lot of people think that there's a lot of formality behind a venturing officers association, but it's literally a group of crews just talking together. The president, the advisor, all that stuff will come later, and you don't have to necessarily worry about those details in the beginning. Just get people together, get them talking, saying, hey, do you guys want to go on a trip together? That's what a VOA is. Um, a little secret to the youth is, if there's enough crews and there's not a VOA, there was always one adult in this program that will have a hard time telling you, no, we can't do a VOA. So the trick is you got to find that adult that is afraid to say no to a youth, and that's where you start that VOA. Is you find that adult and you say, hey, I'm interested in doing this. This is your involvement, and find the adult that can't say no. That's the little secret.
Awesome. I hope that somebody listening to this right now is able to go find that adult that can't say no. In your council, how does it help and support your crew specifically? You said you gave us some examples of like the broader outlook, but how specifically? What are some things that you're putting in place right now that helps support the program?
Yeah. So something that I'm trying this year is really doing visits to the crews in my council.
Mhm.
I'm very lucky to come from a council that doesn't cover a huge geographic area. We are the county around Charlotte. It takes 1 hour to get from one side to the other, and it might take two depending on the traffic on the 8-lane interstate. But really trying to visit as many crews that I can. My president has been doing a great job of visiting crews. We also visit the ship that is part of our council VOA. Um, we're lucky in that we can have in-person council VOA meetings in the heart of the county, where it's only like 40 minutes for people to come in for a VOA meeting. If the office isn't available, we'll still do Zoom. We actually get more people and youth on Zoom still post pandemic than we do in person. It's People love coming to a meeting in their pajamas, and then if you offer some type of virtual game, it really works out. Um, in kind of the opposite direction of our meetings, we offer like fun council VOA events. So we'll do like a meeting where youth can vote on like what they want to see the next event be, and then we do the next event. Actually, next week we have our annual Christmas party that has the most attendance of any kind of like non-main camp event at our council office, and we're looking to have at least like 30 people there this year, which is actually very exciting. So,
That makes
it, oh, go
makes me
ahead.
have goosebumps.
And then
I'm
I
so
would say like
excited.
the last thing that's really important is like council events. All the crews in my council are very like traditional scouting venturing crews instead of like skill specific venturing crews. So we'll go to a council camp, have a council weekend, lots of competitions, lots of friendship, lots of fellowship, those kinds of things. And of course, we do some type of swag that people really love as well.
Awesome. That sounds like so much fun. I I have been a part of some of these events, and as both a youth and like a youth participating, and um, there's no short of fun at said events. It sounds like a blast. Could you share a memorable experience or event that kind of stands out as the time you've been an advisor during this last, how long has it been? How long have you been an advisor
I
since
have been a
2020?
council advisor for 3 years now. So, yeah, it's hard to kind of pin down like a memorable experience because like anything that the youth really do that like they come back and they learn from and go, oh, like was it really that easy the entire time? Like was I just overcomplicating it? And like
Yeah.
when we're planning a major council wide event and they're like spend months planning, and then as they're going through the planning process they're feeling like things are falling behind, but then having done it for a couple of years I'm like, well, you're ahead of where we were last year, so I'm not going to tell you that, but you're doing a great job, but there's no reason to feel behind. And then actually getting to the event and like sitting around and like being like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? And it's like, well, you did the right thing. You delegated to other people. You checked in at the beginning, and now we're just waiting. So why don't you yourself go and actually participate? Like you've done enough planning to the point where you get to go do that. So that's definitely one of the major ones. And then the second one, and this is kind of like a humble brag, but like the moment when you yourself actually called me that you had gotten the VP position on the national VOA, and you just called and you were just screaming, and you're like, I got it. And then I started like screaming, and it was just great. And then, like, I don't think I ever really told you this, but like after you hung up, after the collective like 15 to 20 minutes of us just screaming in excitement, like crying and going to my partner and being like, you don't know how much this actually means to me that she's going to get to experience this. So, because it was such a huge part of my life.
Awesome. Very cool. um, okay, awesome. Like experiences that you didn't tell me about.
Yep.
Coming up on the Venturing podcast here. How another question I was looking and thinking that I wanted to ask you is, how does the Venturing Officers Association collaborate with the larger council and other scouting units? You kind of mentioned that the ship in your council is also involved in the VOA. Are there any other ways that you collaborate with service projects or anything like that?
Yeah. So, I try and collaborate as much as possible. All the other councils are invited. All the other councils around us are invited to our events, and I make sure that they're aware of that. My council, or my council president, is actually very active on our territory calls that our territory does every month, and is always giving a report and always trying to help other councils. I'm always reaching out to other councils, seeing how we can help build their venturing program. Recently, our council just hosted a Kodiak course, and we had people from other councils who had been on staff come and help us because this was our first one. So venturing is all about like sharing the experiences, and just, we're all friends. We're all fall into this very unique family. That's why most of us are here, because venturing has this insane family feel that we all love, and just spreading that and going to other councils and inviting them to be a part. That's why we're here.
To be one big happy family. We're all in this together.
Exactly.
We're all in this
Exactly.
together. Yay! Now I have the song that will not go away for the next like 3 weeks. But anyways, moving on. From your perspective, what impact does venturing and the VOA have on the personal development and leadership skills of the youth involved?
I definitely have to quote the Alps model here. I think once venturers leave this program, they're better off in planning adventures. They're way better leaders than they were before. Just the trainings that venturing has to offer, that are master level college classes condensed into, short little trainings that are super high quality. Knowing how to set goals for personal growth. I know most youth know how to do that, but it feels like after they leave the venturing program or become an advisor, that they really use that. And then definitely like service. I think venturers and the venturing program is like one of the highest focused service organizations in the scouting program. And that's just my opinion, but I think it's true. I know our venturers are always giving service within the scouting program to, Weeblo's Adventure Camp, working on summer camp staff, helping crews and troops do ILSC. I think service is a huge part, and, that's what the venturers get out of this program, and what they get out of a VOA program and a council level VOA program is we take those things and we heighten them up a little bit and add new perspectives and new ways to look at the program.
It's funny that you mentioned the college level classes. Just the other day, we were talking about the stages of team development. which the venturing program definitely talks about very much. And I was very excited when that slide or 15 came up, and I was like, yeah, oh yeah, I can relate, and I know all about that. What advice do you have to individuals who might be interested in becoming a venturing VOA advisor, or to get more involved in supporting youth leadership in scouting?
Yeah, so I'm still relatively new as an adult. Maybe I can't say that. It's been a couple of years now. But one of the biggest things for me is I'm not doing this for myself. I'm here to support my youth vision and my VOA vision, and I think that's what my youth really enjoy. Is how transparent I am about it's all about you guys. Whatever you guys want to do, let's do it as long as we're being safe. And that's kind of the big thing. I don't think adults can really get the sense and can understand, but youth can kind of tell when you're doing it for yourself or when you're doing it just because you want to do it. And I don't think a lot of people get that. And I would say try not to say no to the youth. Instead of saying no, like, hey, what about doing this instead? I don't think I ever really say no. I think I always come in with an alternative. At least I would hope so. I try and, let's do another activity or whatnot. And I think the biggest point is know that the youth aren't going to know everything. I don't expect my council VOA to know how to plan a council venturing event. They've never done it before. That's my job as their advisor to teach them. I have to guide them through that. Like to sit a youth down in a position and go, it's whatever you want to do. Like they're going to freeze because they have you just gave them the entire world and they're not going to know what to do with the entire world. So, venturing is youth led and that's great. But we as adults, we also have to give them what is youth led and what is the box and what they can do. And then say, okay, now here's the box, try and jump out of it.
Right.
Safely, of course, but definitely, guiding these youth, not expecting them that they're going to know how to do everything. It has been like super helpful. And it's kind of a point where other adults come to me and they're like, why do your youth do all these things? And it's like, well, because I helped them with it. I never once said, you're in this position now, go forth. It's, not everyone's going to do that all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that makes a lot of sense. Is there anything else you want to share? I kind of just cut you off there.
No, you're fine. I just from an adult perspective, we're here to make sure the youth have fun and are being safe. It's all of your guys' jobs as youth to pick and choose what that fun is. But if you ever feel stuck, ask for help. That's what we are as adults are here to do. We're here to help you when you get stuck. And we don't know when you're stuck. Unfortunately, most of us haven't learned how to read minds yet. So that hasn't quite, hit the human cycle, but ask for help. That's the biggest thing you can do. I always ask my VOA, how can I help you? So be proactive, ask for help when you need it. We're here to give it. So
you heard it here first, folks. Ask for help. Douglas, thank you for sharing your insights, and thank you to our listeners for tuning in to this episode of the Venturing BSA podcast, Leading Our Adventures. For this episode, we are starting a new segment, kind of a new fun fact of the day. We're going to do a fun fact about venturing. This episode's interesting fact is that each year, the Council Standards of Venturing Excellence, sometimes referred to as CSVE, award is presented by the National Venturing Committee, or rather the Venturing National Committee, and the NVOA to councils. And what they do is complete their requirements during a calendar year. It is designed to measure a council's venturing program through analysis of various aspects of growth in categories such as membership, trainings, and events. It's very fun to go and look at how you're scoring, and it's kind of a game against yourself as the years go on. We'll catch you on the next adventure. Until next time, stay adventurous and keep leading the way.